What's up? My name is Phil. I am from Mints and Drops. Thank you so much for passing by with my morning face. Today I'm having the pleasure to talk to no other than Batty Hattie. He's an absolute legend in our space. He's been around for so long and he's been doing so well for everybody. We've talked for a couple of minutes again, very simple, straightforward. The guy is super fun. I had a blast. I hope you will too. Enjoy. All
This
right.
meeting is being recorded.
Oh, wow. Zoom is having, an amazing voice when you press record. Hey, Batty, thank you so much for passing by, brother. I truly appreciate. Hello.
Yeah, hi, thanks for having me. Yeah, that shocked me as well.
You heard it too, right? I was not crazy. I didn't. Oh, whatever. Hey, listen. We've talked a couple of times, through DMs, and I had to respectfully cut you off because I wanted to everybody to know your story, because you've been around in the space for quite some time. Anyone before me, I respectively call a dinosaur, but you're a great one, an amazing one. I have mad respect for you, for what you do, and I just wanted to how everything for you started up, and what's your project.
Yeah, great. Thanks for having me, and thank you for everything you're doing in the space. I love the videos. I love the Discord, and your positive influence in the space 100%, and bringing the community together. So thank you for the opportunity. It's been great to speak to you. So I can kind of go all the way back to way before Hedera, really. I'm an educator. I've self-taught quite a lot, and I try and make myself learn something new every day, whether it can be how to build a stud wall, how to stop your drawers creaking when you open them, whatever it is, just random stuff. And I'm busy, and as a parent, I'm busy as well, so I don't get a lot of time. But I remember hearing the word Bitcoin when I watched a documentary about the Silk Road. Didn't know anything about it, didn't know what a digital wallet was, left it. And then there was all this hype about Bitcoin being a few $100s, and people were going, oh, it'll crash. I still didn't know. And then eventually I thought, well, what is this Bitcoin thing? What is a digital wallet? I had no idea how it works. So I tried to learn about it, and I stumbled across a YouTube video of Mance Harmon and Lehman Baird in New York at one of the very first meetups, talking about hashgraph technology. And then that obviously led me down the path of Mike Maloney. And that was it. I thought, this is my Bitcoin moment. This is my chance to invest whatever money I had. And I don't, educators aren't rich. We don't earn a lot of money. But it was my opportunity to maybe do something life-changing for my family. So I put as much savings together as I could, and I did everything I could to be on this, like this great opportunity. I was day one. I got burned quite badly, and I learned from that experience, and that was my journey. And I was really there as a investor, if you like, very small investor, but an investor. Mm-hmm. During that time, my son and my daughter were born and were growing up, and my daughter was starting to become quite anxious. So my daughter is Hattie, I'm Batty, and as an educator, I was starting to hear more research about the impact of electronic devices on young people, the impact of our lifestyle on young people. And it got to a point where Hattie was basically being physically sick to get into school, and she liked school, but for whatever reason felt that level of anxiety to get into school. And as a parent, you feel like you've done something wrong, you blame yourself. Me and my wife were, what mistakes did we make? But I knew from the research that actually if we exercised more, if we got creative, if we did these things, it might help. And I started to research about anxiety, and the numbers are staggering. I mean, from 2019 to now, 2009, sorry, there's been an increase of like 106 million people around the world. Yeah. And the total number is over 300 million just with anxiety alone. 1 in every 5 young people suffer from anxiety. And one of the biggest bits of information which really shocked me was the fact that on a daily basis, we are bombarded with the same information our great grandparents did in the 60s over 6 months. and young people's brains and our brains haven't evolved yet. We're still quite prehistoric in terms of fight, flight, and freeze. And there's a link there. But there was no reason why Hattie had started to feel this way. There was no traumatic experience. She was outgoing. She's a bit of a crazy cat. But for whatever reason, in this environment, she just had moments where she felt that way. So we were lucky in the end that we got a bit of help. But before that, we would draw and create and do scribble monsters and do pixel art and talk about emotions and how she was feeling that way. So it wasn't like this big deal. It was just a gateway into that dialogue, but also opportunities to create, because creating's great. It helps release endorphins, and you're playing. Play is so important, and young people don't play enough, so they don't develop those social skills as much as they did. The emotional intelligence isn't there as much. So I knew that we had to do something there, and we did as a family. Part of the process was just learning stuff. So we learned about, was teaching her about NFTs and punks, crypto punks. And she said, well, you know, we've got stuff here. Why don't we put them as NFTs? And I said, well, no, not really, because I just do this for, you know, a bit of fun. And she said, well, come on. I said, well, who would want to be interested in what we're doing? And she was like, you always say to me, step out your comfort zone. So why not? So okay, let's do that then. Let's do it as a learning experiment. Let's show you how to do a wallet. And it was going mint at the time. So even I was fumbling my way through on how to upload an NFT, all those sorts of things. And we had no idea about community building. We had no idea about Discords. We just knew about creativity and education.
That's the part, right?
So we did.
Just diving.
Crazy, right? And I remember Elizabeth at Hello Future Buzz reached out to us quite early on and said we'd come on the spaces, and I did, and I kind of explained the story and the project and talked about H-Bears and what it was about. At the time, I was quite reluctant to kind of share the full story. I didn't want to share Hattie's story because that's her story to tell. But over the period of development of our project, she's been very happy and outward-going in terms of, yeah, share my story if it helps someone else. Share how that's you know helped. And I remember on a Sunday there was a H-Bar Spaces, and Tom said, you know, you're starting here, but before you know it, you'll be creating swag and you'll be having a community, and we kind of are now. And it is me. Hattie still creates, and she done all these amazing bits of pixel art. And we said to her, look, I said, you know, how do we get this out? How do we share your work? Did you want to share it? And she's quite keen to. So we eventually created Pixel Drops as a project, and it is all about connecting people, getting people to interact online, sharing their Pixel Drops, which is why it's 5H bar. There's no fallback fee. It's really cheap, just to try and help people engage and to also educate young people into the space and adults into the space. So that's her little project, Pixel Drops, and she's still busy beavering away doing her art and creative stuff as well as playing. And I try to show her what's going on, but equally shelter her from the space as well, in terms of protecting her from that kind of hype, if you like, because NFTs are up and down, and I just think she can enjoy the art and know that she's appreciated. That's going really well. You know, we had our first community event. We've been able to donate to charity. So, yeah, it's been a process and a journey. We're very fortunate. The space is so supportive of us. You know, we're not a big project. We're just working towards that goal of, yes, we want to be successful, but we also want to support others and help them. If one family member, an adult, sits down with their child at Pixel Drops, for instance, and says, look, here's 100 H-bar or 50 H-bar, and they enjoy minting a Pixel Drop, or they purchase a H-Bear from the Emporium, and that creates a dialogue, and then they go on to create art or to do just have that dialogue. For us, that's success. And we did Pixel Drops, and we saw like Max Walker Williams's kids and King Solomon's daughter creating pixel, like the scribble monsters. That blew us away, and that was a real moment for us, because it was like that we've succeeded there, you know.
That's amazing. Was your daughter keen to share those drawings she made at first? How did you process that? I mean, it's kind of not imposing, but you know,
But you know what? Obviously for me, every pixel drop represents a moment, because they were produced over a period of a couple of years. That each one is, you know, that you got Valentine's Day ones, you've got, you know, Christmas ones, and I can see her there. And there was a dialogue. It was a very gentle dialogue at dinner here and there, like, you know, what would you like to do? How would you like them to go out? What ideas have we got? And we talked about there being 100 and the X different numbers, because she was really keen on Moshi monsters. And I remember actually when I was working on V1 with Vicente, Vicente V1 H bears, that pushed my work on exponentially. You know, working with him was phenomenal, because his attention to detail is crazy. I mean, I caught COVID and I really struggled. We got to launch day and I helped him out on launch day, and I said, I'm too ill. You know, there was times when I could just, because the way we worked was I'd work all day and then we'd chat about 11 o'clock at night for me, and then I'd work till like 2 in the morning, get up, go to work, come back, work on the changes. And I got really ill, and I remember Hattie looking at the Vizizi H bears, and she was blown away by it, like just the detail of it, and that really inspired her to do more, and to start to learn about the animated gifts and things like that as well. So the process to get to pixel drops was just very gentle discussions, and is this what you'd like to do? And it is, and she still likes to mint them, and she still says to me, can I have some H? I'm like, yeah, great, do it, you know. And it's always a surprise, and yeah, we got a long way to go, and the goal is that once we get series 1 done with pixel drops, and series 2, that we open it up to young creators in the community. So it won't just be Hattie's work, it will be anyone that wants to, and that's why the Discord's really good. We've got loads of moderators just to make it a safe space for people, and we will produce more educational stuff as we go through. But obviously that's just one project underneath, if you like, Batty Hattie's Emporium, and there's other projects we're working on, and it's time consuming, but it's really good, it's energizing. But I've just got to make sure I keep a balance, so I can have time with the family and outside of this, if you like. But it just depends how busy it is in real life. But yeah, so that's been the journey, and that's where we're at.
Listen, as a father, you know, I'm empathetic. I truly value what you're doing. I mean, you know, and I'm sure, you know, out there, what's fun, you know, in our space right now, I believe, is that age, where you come from, does not matter at all. You know, you just go through directly to what needs to be done. And I think, you know, we should do that every single day out there, even through in real life context, right? But that truly speaks volume to me in a way that I am sure this really helped her out, you know, in a way to bring her anxiety down, as I can, you know, absolutely propel myself, you know, being a father myself, where, you know, you just throw your daughter out in the wild and it's like your heart is it's out there, you know, not protected. But at the same time, if she can build up, you know, some kind of a defense, or even something that's even brings her, you know, happiness, joy, and just at the same time, you know, she can strive, man, that's what you want, right? And at the same time, if you can bring this whole thing in our space, you know, in such a beautiful way, man, I mean, hats off 1,000 times, because that's what we need. Like we were saying the first time we spoke to each other, you know, after the 2.5 years we had, you know, Jesus, we need stuff like that. We need real. And I think you do bring real. You bring in a real life situation that you bring right back up in our space, where we need even more real, because again, that's the whole point why I started this YouTube journey, because I was fed up of, you know, just typing back. I was, okay, well, I need some, you know, I need context, you know. I would give you a huge high five if I could, you know, in real life. And maybe that happened, but down the road for now, that's what we have.
Hug one day.
I'm sorry?
So we'll definitely hug one day. It will happen.
So yeah, so I just respect for what you do genuinely, you know, and that's why I wanted most people to know, because you see art over there and you don't see, you know, the depth, you know, for all NFT, you know, the profondeur, you know, how many layers there are to it. And yours,
thank you. I mean,
in my opinion, it's valuable to know.
Thank you. I mean, you know, she's just turned 12, and she's flourishing. Like her strategies to deal with anxiety are there. She still gets anxiety, but her strategies are in place now. And you know, I'll open up and I'll share this if you like. So before she was born, actually, I was quite badly assaulted in my job, and it was just dealt with, and I carried on work, and everyone was, oh yeah, you know, you're a guy, it's fine. And about 18 months later, I'd worked with a guy called Mac, and he was from Trinidad, and he was always like lively, and we were always joking and laughing at work. And I bumped into him in the street, and he said, "Come, let's go and get coffee." So we arranged to meet for coffee, and I always called him Mr. Sunshine because he's just got a massive smile on his face, and he's just great fun to be around. And in the queue, he was like, "What's up with you?" And I was kind of saying, "I'm fine. Nothing's wrong with me." Mm-hmm. And this coffee shop was really busy. There was 2 chairs left to sit at, and there was a couple having a date. I think it was their first date at the table. And within 15 minutes, he was holding me off the floor, and I was in bits. And I ruined their date, and I feel really guilty because I felt really awkward. And I'm not an openly emotional person. I keep my emotions to myself, and I don't not as much anymore, but I would then definitely. And he'd asked me the question, when the kids are having fun. Actually, I think Hattie's been born. When the kids are having fun, what are you doing? And I honestly just said, I'm kind of looking through them. I'm not smiling. Mm-hmm. And the guilt hit me. Yeah. And long story short, that because of that event and the way it'd been dealt with, I was suffering from depression, and my work, I dedicated everything to work. And again, I came home, I kind of broke down with my wife, who's really supportive. She's amazing. And she just went, "Look, you've not been right for 18 months. Something's been wrong with you, and we can't figure that out." And it was just that. So I kind of started to realize mental health was a real issue there, even for me, who's normally been, if you like, quite mentally resilient. But for some reason, that made me realize that actually everyone can have a mental health problem, can need a bit of support. And from that day, I've been much more open, which is why I'm happy to share that with you. And that's just my own personal journey. It's all fine and it's all good. But it is that coupling up of, you know, everyone could have, if you like, a time when they need support, young, old, and especially guys who don't want to share their emotions. And I think there is definitely a shift now culturally where we do open up a bit more. But she's good. Hattie's good, and she has just started secondary school, which is a massive step for her. And we were expecting that anxiety to come back, but she's been an absolute superstar. But acknowledging the fact that she's still got those moments where you can see her doing little exercises with her fingers or whatever it is to help combat that. But everyone's different. But it is that, for me, I think if any message we could give is, you know, just talk to each other, just open up about how you feel, just that starting that dialogue already lifts a massive weight off their shoulders. And then, you know, the other messages, you know, play, create, educate, interact with each other. And they're all things that I think that as an educator, I actually have to start to impact the system where young people are playing more, for sure, and socially interacting and becoming more emotionally intelligent, because I don't think we necessarily know the impact of the lack of playing. We talked about lockdowns and COVID previously. As an educator, I have seen the impact of that firsthand on the chalk face. I've seen young people struggle, especially the second time. So in England, we had 2 lockdowns. The first time it was a bit of a novelty, the weather was quite good, and the second time around wasn't the same, and the impact the second time around was much greater. And it is getting them out to play, just learning to win, lose, fall out with each other, make friends again. That whole process is something that it needs to be looked at. Sorry, I'm going off NFT. I'm going on to education. I do apologize.
No, that's good. That's on subject, right? You know, that's just that's how life is, you know. And I believe the message is even more direct when you have children, you know, because there's no not personality, but there's very much less layer to defend yourself in a way that, you know, if something hurts you or something frightens you or something stresses you out, there is basically nothing. It goes in a direct way. And as an adult, you know, you can learn so much in there because you learn to unlearn a couple of things, you know. And, you know, I can 100% vibe with what you said, you know, towards, you know, having the freedom and the liberty, if you can, just to speak freely and just go out your mind and your way towards what you feel, man. So I vibe with that. And thank you so much for your message, man. Thanks for passing by and taking the time. I've been wanting to talk to you for a long time, you know, just to know your backstory. I got mad respect again for what you do. Keep on. I will share the love, of course, 100%. And I hope you all strive. I hope you all keep on finding happiness and being successful in life in general, you know, for the bigger term of it, being successful.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I am a great believer in you definitely get out what you put back. If you definitely get back what you put out into the universe, and you know, we're all resonating in our own way. And I appreciate you reaching out, and you've made me feel very welcome and comfortable to be able to share my story. And thank you so much, because I love what you do.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah. Take care. Thank you so much. Peace.
Thank you. Thank you.